Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time, and in this video I'll talk to you about the White House position on your state tax dollars, the rapidly changing reality that will affect your next stimulus check. I'll talk to you about the then and now. What I mean by that is how we are dealing with the 2020 pandemic compared to the 2008 Great Recession and why this is important to know, and the impact on the states that absolutely no one is talking about. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time. If you learned something new from this video, please consider clicking the like button below. Please also subscribe and enable notifications so you get instant updates from us going forward. In this video, I'll go over three things. The first is where state tax dollars go. I'll talk to you about how states spend their money. You pay state income tax and you'll be surprised to know exactly how states spend their money. Now, I have done another video on how the federal government gets money and spends money, so you may want to check out that video as well. But in this video, I'm specifically going to talk about how states get money and how states spend the state dollars that you pay. Number two, I'm going to talk about the 2020 pandemic impact on states relative to the 2009 Great Recession. Now, in case you're guessing, yes, this pandemic is much more severe, is much more damaging economically than the 2008-2009 Great Recession. And number three, I'll talk to you about the evolution of the administration's position about funding for states and local governments, about state tax dollars and unemployment benefit extensions, and why this has such a crucial impact on our economic future and what you should know about it so you can talk to your local senators and make an informed decision. So let's get into the first part, which is where state tax dollars go and how states spend their money. Now, you pay state income tax. That's how states get their money. States also get their money through local taxes and other means. Now, states help educate the nation's children. They help to build and repair roads and bridges. They provide health coverage to low-income families and their children, and they do a whole lot more. Many of these services are absolutely essential to maintaining strong, vibrant local communities and the nation's long-term economic vitality. Now, the biggest area of spending as far as states are concerned is education, K through 12 and higher education, as well as healthcare. Now, just to give you an idea, in total, the 50 states and the District of Columbia spent $1.2 trillion in state revenues in the fiscal year 2016. This was going back a while, according to the most recent survey by the National Association of State Budget Officers. Now, I have done another video where I've talked about the significant state shortfall, the income shortfall. States are seeing a significant decline in income, so I will provide you with a link to that video, so definitely check that out. States are getting significantly less money than they did, let's say, a few months ago because of the impact of the pandemic. So again, the largest area of spending include education, K through 12 and higher education. States also fund a wide variety of other services like transportation, corrections, pension and health services for public employees, care for people with mental illnesses and developmental disabilities, assistance to low-income families, economic development, environmental projects, state police, parks and recreation, housing, and aid to local governments. So if you take a look at this chart on your screen right now, you'll see a full breakdown, and you'll see that more than half of state tax revenues fund education and healthcare. So you can see a percentage of spending in general. And by the way, this is data from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, and I will provide you with a link to their website in the description section below so you can check them out. But basically, as you can see, K through 12 education is 26%, Medicaid and children's health insurance programs are 17%, higher education is 15%. There's miscellaneous expenses that account for 32%, which includes care for residents with disabilities, pensions and health benefits for public employees, economic development, environmental projects, state police, parks and recreation, and general aid to local governments. There's transportation, which is 6%. There's public assistance, which is 1%, and there's corrections, which is 5%. So this is how states spend their money. Again, more than half of state tax revenues fund education and healthcare, which is extremely important to the health of local citizens, state residents, as well as overall economic vitality across the country. So what impact has the 2020 pandemic had relative to the 2008-2009 Great Recession? State and local employment losses this year have already exceeded what happened during the entire Great Recession. Now, I say state and local employment losses this year. That means we still haven't seen the full extent of the losses because we're still we're still struggling to get out of this. We're not out of it yet. We will be at some point in the future, but we are not out of it yet. So already all the economic losses have exceeded what happened during the entire Great Recession. Back then, state and local governments cut about 750,000 jobs over nearly 5 years. However, since the start of this year, since March of this year, about 1.2 million local government jobs have been lost. Again, during the entire Great Recession, 750,000 jobs were lost. But since March of this year, 1.2 million local government jobs have been lost. So Moody's Analytics researchers estimate that 2.8 million more jobs could be on the chopping block without more financial help from the government. I mean, it's chilling just to think about it. If that happens, state and local job cuts will essentially shave off about 2.6% from the overall pre-crisis employment levels. This is a significant impact to the overall economy. Now, unemployment rates are high. Now, the unemployment rate is gradually going down, but it's still higher than it's ever been, and many businesses expect to close. So what states are expecting is their revenue from these businesses will decline on top of the public health expenses that they're already incurring as a direct result of this pandemic. So basically what's going to happen is they spend a large chunk of their budgets on Medicaid payments and service for low-income residents. So some cuts are going to have to be made somewhere. So speaking of cuts, now let's take a look at the evolution of the administration's position on state tax dollars and unemployment benefit extensions. And I say evolution because I'm being polite. It's been more of an inconsistent approach that's been consistently changing. It's been consistently inconsistent is what I call it. The Trump administration and many Republican lawmakers have essentially said that, hey, we don't need to bail out states as much as the Democrats want to, because we don't want to provide a bailout to badly run democratic states. And they said that governors and local leaders, local governments should essentially handle the part of the bill on their own, and they don't want to, like I said, bail out those states. So in fact, President Trump with his executive order said that states should chip in $100 towards a $400 a week booster, and then later on they said, hey, you don't have to chip in $100. But if you read the executive order very closely, you'll see that the language says that when the federal government runs out of money, when the money from FEMA through the DRF fund runs out, which will run out in a few weeks depending on how many states apply for the grant, but it will run out fairly quickly, then states are then expected to chip in the entire amount on their own in order to make sure that the unemployment benefit keeps continuing. States are simply not going to be able to do that. So basically, the Lost Wages Assistance Program has been putting more pressure on states, not to mention that it's the creation of a completely separate program. At the time I'm recording this video, I believe there are just a handful of states that are actually providing this benefit, and a majority of states still haven't gotten, the residents still haven't gotten that benefit. So the Director of Government Consulting and Fiscal Policy Research with Moody's Analytics, his name's Dan White, he said they just don't have the money to kick that in, and he's referring to the states. Now, like I said, the administration kept shifting their position, and the administration, initially said, hey, states have to put in $100, and then later they said, no, you don't have to put in the $100 anymore. In fact, Larry Kudlow, President Trump's senior economic advisor, said, we are no longer insisting on a cost-sharing deal. These were his exact words to Fox Business. And at the same time, Larry Kudlow basically was hesitant to offer more assistance to states. In fact, U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, who's one of the lead negotiators on behalf of the president, said the White House was willing to provide an additional $150 billion to states that were impacted by the pandemic, which is far less than the Democrats wanted. The Democrats wanted a whole lot more money, and a bipartisan group of lawmakers, including Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, who's a Republican, are pushing for a bill that would give states $500 billion. I'm hopeful that there'll be some sort of a compromise and states will get a little bit more money with perhaps some sort of stipulations on how the money is used, so that the money satisfies the concerns of the Republicans while also providing money to states that were hit by the pandemic. Because yes, states may be poorly managed, some states, but the fact that they were hit by the pandemic simply escalates and makes the pain much more exponential, which is where some states probably should get some help. Moody's Analytics specifically estimated that states and localities will face a $500 billion hole through 2022 if the worst of the pandemic is already past us, and a $750 billion hole if the United States faces a second pandemic during the fall, a second wave, if you will, which is going to be pretty horrific. And U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin has said that Democrats want federal money to help ailing pension funds and to fill budget shortfalls with states that were already struggling before the pandemic. And Democrats have pushed back on this assertion and said that that's not the right way to look at it. And Speaker Nancy Pelosi specifically pointed out something that she was told by the Republicans. What did they say? Let them go bankrupt. These are her words. And economists tell us that our economy depends on the fiscal soundness of state and local government. So let me know what you think. Do you think state and local governments should get more aid? Tell me about the state that you're in right now. Beyond the federal unemployment benefits, are you seeing an impact in the way your state is delivering services? Are you seeing an impact as far as local parks are concerned? Are you seeing an impact as well as far as police and local firefighters are concerned? Are you seeing an impact as far as education is concerned? Let us know in the comment section below, so that we as a community know what's going on in your state. And if you feel so inclined, please mention which state you are in as well, so we know exactly what's going on in specific states, so that as a community we can gather this data and be better informed about this situation, and then use that to make decisions like contacting our senators and making decisions about November. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time. If you learned something new from this video, please take a moment of your time to click the like button. It helps out the YouTube algorithm, and it would really help me personally. I would really appreciate that. Also, please subscribe and enable notifications so you get instant updates going forward. If you don't know anything about me, check out my video on the Ignition Time channel. You'll learn about me. I believe I've lived the American dream, and I believe that I've been fortunate enough to experience the American success story, and I can help you do the same. So check out my origin story on our channel. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. If you want to get breaking news and alerts from us, get your cell phone out. Within the cell phone message section, type out the word ignition or the word time and send a text message to 70,000, that's 70000, and you'll get added to our SMS list. You can also get added to our email list, and you can opt out of either the SMS list or the email list at any time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video of Ignition Time. Thanks. Take care. Bye.